Hello, everybody, and welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. It is me, Cyber Warrior, and this is CyberWarriorStudios, and we're on Security Happy Hour. So today, we have three amazing guests. David Fraley, who has been here before. Welcome back. Shannon Brazil, and correct me, please, if I butcher anybody's names, is here, as well as Angie Doucet. Doucet? I was close. I don't like butchering people's names, so I hate when people do it to me. But yes, so I have you guys here, and I'm so happy. Because, well, I always love doing Security Happy Hour. It is honestly what I love doing more than probably anything else right now, is this show. And then on top of that, you know, a lot of things are going on, and a lot of people are always asking how to do certain things, whether how to get in the field, how to break into it. Should I go to school? Should I not go to school? I have my own opinions on it. But I think that having this group here, especially considering we've got people in the early stages of their career, as well as Angie, who I believe you just finished your degree, if I'm not mistaken, recently. So you can kind of give us a little background on how that went. So with this group of wonderful people, we can establish, I think, a pretty good conversation. So, saying that, David, you've been here before, so you're going to go last. Angie is probably the newest to cybersecurity. Why don't you give us a rundown on how your school went and what you're looking to do now that you're done?
Okay, sure. I didn't really take a traditional path even going to school. I, out of high school, wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So I actually became a bank teller out of high school. So I did that for a number of years and then kind of progressed through the financial services industry. I did a number of years as a credit underwriter. So I was a credit underwriter for quite a while, and through that job, I got into like the fraud side of it. So I became a certified fraud examiner, and I knew that like in my career, I needed to get a degree. I wasn't going to be able to really advance. So I was actually interested more in the fraud side of it, like getting a degree in like fraud. I wanted to do financial fraud or insurance fraud. So my original plan was to go back to school and get it. I never went to college, but go to college and get a degree in like fraud. And so I found this program at Utica College. They have like an incredible fraud. Like it's a mixture of cybercrime and fraud. So Utica College has like cyber, like 4 different paths you can take, and my interest was fraud. But when I began taking classes, I realized that I was more interested in the cyber side of it than the fraud aspect of it. So I actually switched my concentration to network forensics and intrusion investigations. So
Yeah, that's definitely so especially with the cybercrime side, even changing your concentration and getting into networking and that side of things. There's a lot you can do with that, and there's a lot that can lead to. So I think my biggest question in that aspect, though, is how much of that work was hands-on and more current versus how much was theory.
Oh, sorry. So it was actually surprisingly a lot of it. I would say, I know that there's a lot of debate. There's actually a lot of debate about, getting a degree, and the question that you asked, like how much is hands-on, and is it like all book work and all that stuff. And Utica, my experience with Utica is that they have a really, really good program. I was doing CTFs. I did one of the classes I took, we did like a OWASP top 10. I was doing like web application vulnerability. I was attacking servers and that kind of stuff. So it was a lot of very hands-on. And then there was they touch on a lot of different things because it is a wide range. there's such a wide range in cybersecurity of like what you can do. So they do have to, it is broad, but at the same time, there was a lot of like hands-on learning as well.
Yeah, the ability to get the hands on, and as much as there's been good and bad, even about WGU, they kind of offer a lot of the same things, right? So they give you a lot of certification courses and get you certified. So I don't know how much of their work is hands-on, but hearing that you actually got to do some hands-on work is awesome, because I know that's something that's not seen very much in many colleges. Even when I went through, granted I graduated a while ago now, went through and got my bachelor's for computer information systems and with a concentration in networking. Very little, if any, of my work was hands-on. So thankfully, I did a lot of my learning at home. I always have. I've done majority of my stuff at home on my own. It's really what's carried me to where I am today, is the ability to do that. But knowing that there are colleges out there trying to make a difference and trying to give students that benefit of hands-on training. The only thing I ever ask students to do anytime I've talked to them in the past, especially when they're still in school, is make a name for yourself. Whether that's a blog, a YouTube channel, a GitHub repo, whatever it is you're trying to do in life. If you're trying to get into research and things like that, a lot of times a blog that shows everything you're doing as far as reverse engineering or threat analysis or whatever the case may be helps. That way, whenever you go to apply for jobs, you can say, hey, you can find everything I've done so far here. You can actually see everything I'm doing. And that gives you a leg up, because a lot of times some of these jobs, especially when you get entry level in cybersecurity, you'll have a lot of the same things that everybody else will. So beyond personality or beyond, the culture fit, whatever they want to call it, beyond whatever excuse they want to give for not hiring somebody, if you can sit there and say, look me up, find my name, I guarantee that gives you a leg up. And that's what I tell students all the time. And one of my favorites that I've seen so far is he goes by Day Cyberwalks on Twitter and a lot of other things. That man got an internship as a sophomore and has been doing YouTube videos ever since, building his own labs and things like that. So that is one of the probably the best advice I can give anybody is do whatever you can to make yourself known. Let the community see you. Let them know who you are. Because if you hide and you claim and not claim to be like anonymous and you don't want anybody to know you, you don't want them to find you. If you post something, I don't care how controversial it is, you're going to end up saying it anyways at work. A conversation is going to come up. You're going to end up saying something that you probably are going to end up posting online anyways. So make sure that you're the real you and people can find you. And that is probably the best advice I can give for anybody coming out of any school or any college or anything like that. Shannon, let's move on. Let's talk about you and what you got going on. So how'd you kind of get into this? And then where you want to see yourself, going forward?
Yeah, so I got into cyber in a very strange way. When I first graduated from high school, I went right into college as a chef. I went into culinary management because I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to cook and I want to, feed people and, save the world of hunger. But I learned that was just sort of kind of like my hobby. Like I like doing that on the side and doing that for my friends and my family. So 2 years later, after some hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of tears, I decided to go back to school and went to Algonquin College for computer software engineering, where I learned that I hated coding. I hate it so much. I can do it. I'm okay, but God help me. Like I don't want to do it every day, all the time. I don't want to fix bugs. It's not what I was meant to do. So, but throughout that, I learned how easy it was for me to pick up on other things like IT security and operate like the OS environment and database. So I fell in love with those and I kind of ran through it. I switched over from software engineering to computer technician, graduated, and at the same time of graduating, I got offered a position within the RCMP in their help desk. So it was my first entry level job was the help desk as a student. Amazing people. The thing about the RCMP was that if anyone on the call badmouthed you, you were allowed to block them. They weren't allowed to call back in again, which was like, I've heard horror stories and I'm like, this is the golden thing. Like you were allowed to block people who mistreat you because everyone in the RCMP is equal. So after about 2 years of help desk, I went into the SOC, which did 2 years of shift work. So I paid my dues of 4 years of grinding, and then finally got into the position of supporting their environments, so supporting their Linux environments for all of the applications that the RCMP has in-house and out-house, like across national and globally. After that, I think I did a year and a little bit. I got a phone call from an inspector requesting if I would like to come to their cyber crime investigations unit. And I was like, yes. Why would I say no? Did I know what I was doing? No, not a clue. They had high expectations and I had no idea what they did. And I think the first question he ever asked me was, so Shannon, do you know what we do here? I'm like, no, I have no idea. Why don't you tell me? He's like, okay, so we do this. I'm like, that's really cool. He's like, yeah, we need somebody who's, really keen and who knows operating systems and networking and, like who can tell us what this program's doing. I'm like, I can do that. I can totally do that. So he signed me up on that day. He's like, okay, perfect. This is where you're going to start working. So it was a deployment, which is really cool with it. When you're within the RCMP, you're not really it's really easy for you to move around. If you're unhappy with your team, you just get deployed to a new spot. You don't have to do a rehire, look for a job. You just talk to somebody and you're like, hey, I want to work in there. Or somebody grabs you. Whichever one. So I started in cybersecurity or cyber investigations, which fell in love more into the cybersecurity realm. I dealt with a lot of financial institutions. So Angie, when you're talking about fraud, I know exactly what you're talking about. I went to 2 ACAMS conferences, one in Vegas and then one in Toronto as a panelist in Toronto one, which was pretty cool. And then after a little bit, I decided that I wanted to leave the public sector. I wanted to get, I want to spread my wings and leave the golden handcuffs sort of thing and kind of try my way at being in the private sector. So I got hired on as a, what was my title? It was IT security specialist for a telco company. Which was a fancy way of saying that I was acquiring hard drives and just analyzing hard drives, which I didn't mind because I did a lot of forensics with the RCMP. It's what they hired me to do. And then after 6 months, I got the promotion for their senior cyber. What's my title? Senior. David, you saw it on. It's brand new. What am I doing right now? It was, oh gosh, this is embarrassing.
Just grab another beer, you'll be all right.
Senior cybersecurity specialist is what I am now.
I thought it was something senior cyber specialist of some kind.
Yeah. So that just happened, which is pretty cool. So I work in their CERT, their cyber incident response team now. So I mean, my journey was 12 years. I'm not saying that that you need to wait 12 years. Some people can pick it up within a year, 2 years. Some people get an internship. Some people are students. We have one guy on the team who did his co-op with us, and he spent 2 co-op terms on our cyber intelligence cyber intelligence team. And then after a year of co-op, he switched over into the CERT. Now he's a cyber incident specialist. So, I mean, everyone's path is different. Angie, your path is totally different. Mine's different. I'm sure that everybody else listening to this is not the same, but you get there if you want it. So, yeah, that's my story.
Yeah, that's definitely. So it's funny because you talk about how it took you 12 years essentially to get to where you're at.
Yeah.
And I gotta be honest, like, I grew up in IT. So even at my age, I'm 34 years old now as of last Friday.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. I ended up, I grew up building or fixing computers. And after I told this story probably on one of my first few episodes. You know, I broke my first computer when I was probably 7 or 8 years old. Didn't want to make my dad mad. Found out I broke it and ended up making him mad anyways. But we ended up fixing it together. And ever since that time, I never wanted to break another computer or break something else and not know how to fix it. So I learned computers and I fell in love with them. Operating systems, like my first operating system I worked on was DOS. So yes, I grew up on DOS. I grew up before the internet was even around. So everybody else who get to, the love broadband, yes, I grew up with no internet. But then I had Prodigy and I had Netscape Navigator and I had America Online. But I learned computers. I learned how to fix Windows and that's where I started. So some people love Linux, some people loved Mac and Macintosh at the time. I knew Windows. That was what I grew up on. It was the home computer. So then when I got in the military in 2004, I was a help desk tech. I learned networking. I learned system administration and servers and Active Directory and everything else like that. But my first job in the military was help desk. And so you start learning all these different ways to fix Windows problems. And then it just grew from there. But even while I was there, I started learning Backtrack Linux. And I started breaking into Wi-Fi networks. That was the very first thing I ever did in security was break into my wireless network. And I was back when it was still WEP. It wasn't WPA. It wasn't like WPA, WPA2. No. It was WEP. And I broke into my wireless network. And it was crazy. I was like, oh my God. Like, I knew this was possible, but I didn't know how. And so when you do enough research and you figure out the tools to use and things like that. So seeing people come up in the field always amazes me. And when people are like, oh, you can't, I'm just getting into it. I'm like 30-some years old. My dad is going to be, 34, 6, 8. He's going to be 60 this year, I think. 60. He just got into GRC, graduated with his bachelor's in cybersecurity, I don't know, a few years back now, maybe 6, 7 years ago. So he was in his 50s when he got a bachelor's in IT security from ITT Tech. Like, it is possible. I don't care how old you are. It is completely possible to get into this field. I don't care how long it takes you. If you just, and like you, Shannon, I got my degree in information systems and how to learn programming. I won't lie, I had my roommate do all my programming work because I despised programming. And I regret it to this day because I'm like, oh, I want to do exploit development or I want to do this, that, and a third. And I'm like, God, I got to learn all this again and I should have just paid attention in class.
I know what you mean. Man. Like, I'm struggling to learn Python. I'm like, do I need this? My boss is like, well, like, if you want to do this, like, you should learn something. I'm like, shit, I should have just, like, stayed in object-oriented programming and just, like, stuck with it. But, you had your roommate do it. We had these group sessions where we would sit down and, finish a project together. Was I paying attention to it? Probably not. Should I have been? Probably. But, I mean, I didn't like it.
Yeah, I did. So I love Python, and I am learning Python. Like, for me, it's easy to read. Granted, I like short scripts. So when I look at things like the SE Toolkit and even bash scripts, like the Discover scripts and stuff like that, man, when I'm looking at hundreds of lines of code and then multiple files that link together and they do this, that, and the third, I'm just like, oh my God, come on, I just want a script that does like something simple. Like that's how I operate. So for me, even now, my current job, like everything's a learning experience. Even though I'm a senior cybersecurity consultant, and I love it. But as much as I know, there's still so much I don't know. And I'm one of those people that has been very, very adamant about not migrating to the cloud, which is biting me in the ass, because now with where I'm at, we do everything, like we help a lot of clients that are cloud-based, you know, AWS, Azure, things like that. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to figure this out. And like, it's like, hey, you've got to deploy these with Terraform. And I'm like, what's that?
You're like, excuse me?
What is this Terraform?
Is that a video game? I've heard of that. I've heard of that video game.
That's one thing. You had asked me earlier, like how up to date Utica was, and that's one thing. Like, I didn't really learn anything about the cloud, and I wish, because now I have to, like, I feel like everything's so cloud based now, and I don't really know much about it at all, and I feel like I have to take training courses, or like I go on YouTube, or like get a certification or something.
So there's a few good places out there to learn it. I'm going through A Cloud Guru right now for a lot of AWS stuff. They're amazing. They have awesome labs, awesome environments. Like they literally teach you everything. Before I answer that next question, Justin in here asked me what military. I was actually in the Air National Guard for a few years and active duty Army. To answer that question. So I held 4 jobs in the military. So I did everything from help desk to security, SATCOM. It was supposed to be broadcast engineer, but I ended up doing a lot of satellite communications and networking. Worked for Amvid for a while. And then I went cybersecurity in the Army, and they screwed me, which is why when they said, hey, we want to med board you, I said, let's go. I'm going to go make my money. I already had 4 SAN certs at that point, thanks to the Army. So I was like, I could do better. But yeah, no, cloud is huge. And Keytron Evans, one of my mentors, somebody that's helped me out a lot over the years. He's actually how I got my CEH. I went through an InfoSec boot camp. He was the instructor. And the way they did their course, that man taught me the job. He didn't teach me the test. That wasn't their intent. They teach you how to do the job. And then as long as you pay attention and do the work, you end up being able to pass the test. And that's how they're so good. But he's putting out a lot of cloud things, and me and him have had some discussions about the cloud. And I was like, dude, like, to me, it's just somebody else's computer. Like, that's all it is. I have, from a security standpoint, I like to maintain all my hardware. So even locally, I prefer to run virtual machines versus like setting up a AWS cloud instance, because then I just look at that's costing me money. My computer's running nonstop anyways, so if I can do it locally, I'm gonna do it locally. Like,
I see your point. I see your point in not wanting to do, like, to go to cloud.
From a pain point.
Right. Exactly.
From a business standpoint, it makes sense.
The cost and the resources, the maintenance, all the talent you need for that to upkeep.
But then see, you say that, but then I look at all the talent it takes to upkeep a cloud infrastructure, because you still need someone that knows networking, someone that knows security, somebody that knows operating systems, and then on top of that, somebody that knows cloud. And your specific cloud, because are you AWS, are you Azure, are you Google Cloud? Like, you got to find the right personnel for jobs. But at the same time, now you're not paying the electricity costs on the data centers. You're not paying the hardware costs to upkeep your servers and replace hardware and everything else. So there's pros and cons. And yes, right now, financially, there's more pros to go to the cloud than there's not. But you also, I think a lot of companies do it and think, oh, I'm good, I don't need any security. You're wrong. Please. I'm going to tell you you're wrong. That's why AWS has things like Guard Duty and Macy and CloudWatch and CloudTrail and Security Hub now, and God knows, I think there's like 7 or 8 different tools for security for AWS that they developed just themselves. But yeah, I completely understand. So it's crazy. Like, cloud is definitely becoming a thing, and it's growing rapidly, especially with the past year. We're not going to discuss the past year. I wish it would just not be in my memory, but unfortunately it still is there. But yeah, so especially with that, with everybody going remote, cloud's becoming even bigger because now they've got to find ways to support all these people remotely, which is always fun.
Yeah, and that also comes into effect when you have companies that just retain so much data and they need space for that, and there's no way that you, unless you own a data center, there's no way for you to host it yourself in a way where it's both secure, confidential, available, and the integrity is kept to the standard that you're required to.
For sure.
And then you have just the availability remotely as well.
Sure. So, Dave, before we keep digging in, because, man, you've been silent and I haven't been able to get you an introduction. I'm usually better about this, but some good conversations coming out of it. So I didn't want to really cut people off yet. But, Dave, man, tell me, how's it going? What you been up to? I know you made some moves after you were on here last time. So what's going on? What's happening, man?
It's been a whirlwind since I was on here last. So I don't know. My Twitter blew up. I don't know. I mean, just between doing the follow Fridays and everything, I keep telling people, I think over the course of about 2.5 months, I went from about 396 followers to over 1,600 now. And that's,
that's bullshit. You got more than me. I have you on here now. You have more than me. We're fighting.
Bring it, bro. But no, I mean, I guess I have a customer service background, so I'm very outgoing. I'm very friendly. I'm very talkative. It doesn't show here yet, but it will. But I love talking to people, and I love, for as much as I love talking, I love listening too. So it's like when I'm networking, like I'm listening to what everybody's saying. Like I might not necessarily interact, but I'm seeing everything. The fact that I haven't gotten in trouble for being on my phone at work is like ridiculous to me, because I am on Twitter all the time, like looking at stuff, trying to learn more from people and see what's going on. But yeah, it was like after we did the podcast, because John Stoner was on here, and he, in like the text or the chat or whatever, he was like, hey, send me your resume. Okay, send him my resume. We went through and revised the entire thing. I have been trying to go out and apply to different places with it. I've come up with nothing, and I think a lot of that is because I don't have any certifications yet, and I don't have like on-the-job experience. I'm just a help desk guy. So a lot of everything that I'm doing is all on my own. So that's kind of what I've been doing. But like talking to John Stoner, like we are possibly going to be presenting at, hopefully, both of them. But we've submitted CFPs to both B-Sides Tampa and B-Sides Dublin. Those are both March 26th and March 27th. Coincidentally, my Security Plus certification exam is on the 28th, so that's going to be a really busy weekend.
Holy crap.
Looking forward to it. I'm going to be drinking a lot of caffeine. But yeah, so I mean, it's been doing that, and I've been just continually trying to network. Like I'm trying to kind of shift what I've been doing on Twitter over to LinkedIn and trying to make some more professional connections and everything there. I know over December I was doing the TryHackMe's Advent of Cyber, and that was fantastic. Like, and it's still up. Like, if you haven't done that yet and you want to get a really good base knowledge for just hacking in general, go do it, because it was fantastic. Like even stuff like I always saw people doing, like, reverse engineering. used to scare the shit out of me. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like anything engineering, architect, like that to me is like top level. Like you're really smart, and I am intimidated by your brain. But I actually had a lot of fun doing the reverse engineering stuff, which was weird because I didn't think I was gonna like it. But yeah, I mean, I've just been trying to do absolutely anything and everything that I can to absorb as much knowledge as possible without. I feel like I'm kind of teetering on the burn so much. And so I'm trying to find time to like take breaks and, play games, watch movies, TV shows, hang out, virtually with friends. But even when I'm doing that, like I still feel like, man, like I should have spent time studying. Like I just, like yesterday, I was playing some games with friends, and the entire time I'm sitting back going, man, I really wish I'd have been studying for like my, the Security Plus exam. And I wasn't. And it's like I sometimes also have to sit back and tell myself, like, no, you need these breaks, because if you don't take them, you're not going to want to study even more. You're going to push yourself further and further towards burnout, and that's like I'm teetering on the edge of it.
Yeah, I hear that, man. Like, so when I got started, what I was doing, right? Like it was I think there was only like 2 days a week I wasn't doing a YouTube video. And for me, I get that, right? It was, and that's where things get hard for me, and where you talk algorithms, where you talk Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and everything else, and Discord. Like, my phone blows up all day, whether it's Discord or Twitter or LinkedIn or something. There is some alert coming on my phone. So I get the burnout, because I used to love doing Hack the Box. I did. I loved it. But now with my job as a consultant, I'm constantly researching and learning and helping clients. And then I do my YouTube videos. And with how many I was doing on top of everything I was doing for work, it was to the point I was spending no time with my family. Like, by the time I got off my computer was usually about the time I was putting them to bed, so that I can either come back here to finish doing something or go to bed myself. So yeah, I felt that, and it hit hard. So then around December is when I started, especially around the holidays, I literally took the whole weekend and was like, I'm not touching anything. Like, Christmas weekend, I didn't touch a thing. I was like, I'm not going on the computer. I might respond to something on Discord if I get tagged in something, or on Twitter, but I'm not doing it. And that was why the week before Christmas is when I did my Security Happy Hour Christmas special, was because I was like, I'm taking the holidays to spend with my family. And this, ever since then, I've decided that, like, if I come up with something cool for like a Tuesday to do a Tech Tuesday video, all right, I'll do it. I haven't done WTF Wednesday in God knows how long. I probably could have done quite a few over the past few weeks with SolarWinds and all the other craziness that's going on. But I was like, I got Motivation Monday, I got Security Happy Hour, and like, this is what I love. This is the point to what I want to do, is bringing people on that other people don't pay attention to, that they're kind of in the shadows or trying to make a name for themselves. I want people to get their name out there, because when you look at things like B-Sides, you got to submit a CFP. When you look at things like DEF CON, you got to submit a CFP. You got to do these CFPs, and it's like, oh, you got to fight just to try to get on. And I'm like, then how do you ever get known? Because unless you like find an O-Day and are like, all right, cool, I'm going to submit this. This is a great vulnerability or whatever. Like, all right, so maybe you'll get picked. And I'm like, I didn't want to operate that way. So the way I operate is, all you have to do is ask. I'm not going to hunt you down. I'm there, like, a lot of podcast people hunt people down, and they're like, hey, will you be on? Will you be on? Will you be on? I don't want that, because I want people that actually want to be on, actually find me and want to be here. Even those that have thought, oh, I can never do it, I don't know enough. Yes, you do. You do, because you're new, or you're a veteran and you're just shy. But guess what? Grab a beer and come talk to me, because I'll talk to you anytime.
I mean, even before I had jumped on the first time. And I think you did actually reach out and invite me on that one because you knew like that I was just beginning and I was just like, oh my God, like I don't know anything. And you're like, no, like that's why I want you on is because like you're trying to get your foot in the door. You're learning this stuff. Like we need to show other people what you're going through and maybe like different steps that you're taking so they can kind of compare and contrast like what they're doing, you know, and try to see what works. And I'll be honest with you, like you were talking earlier, you know, if you want, like I always tell a lot of people that like doing the Cyber Mentor Mondays, like I've had people reach out to me and they're like, what should I be doing? One of the number one things that I tell people to do is network with people on Twitter. Find people that are already in the industry, that are already doing this as a job, you know, or even people that are starting out. I mean, I get people that are starting out all the time and I follow them back because I'm like, what are you doing that maybe I'm not, you know? But network with people. I know it seems really silly sometimes for some people, like, oh, this, you know, follow Fridays, you know, whatever. They work. You get introduced to a lot of different people that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise. And like my tactic for doing those, I tag people that are very, you know, like I tag you, I'll tag Shannon, I'll tag Davin, I'll tag Ty, you know, tag all these people that are already in the industry and they're doing their thing. And then I grab other people that, you know, maybe are really, you know, just starting out. They're not even as far as, you know, maybe where I'm at, but they're trying to kind of make strides towards being in cybersecurity. And I'm like, I'm going to connect you with these people because you maybe never have heard of them, but now you will. And maybe they've never heard of you. And maybe you guys can get together kind of like me and John did. And they can kind of give you some steps in the right direction, maybe help you out, do something to get you pointed in that direction.
Yeah, sometimes you just need like something to click, right?
Yeah.
And if it's a follow Friday or if it's, you know, a live podcast or just, you know, like another follow or a message here or I don't know, a tweet, a LinkedIn thing, whatever it is, like sometimes it just clicks and that's all you need.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Because when I was getting out of the Army, I connected with everybody on LinkedIn. And that's where I concentrated all my time, was LinkedIn. I didn't care what your level was. You could have been a junior analyst. You could have been a CISO. You could have been a CEO. I didn't care. Because guess what? I'm going to connect with you. And that's where I did a lot of growing. Because then I'd comment on threads and this, that, and the third. And I haven't done that lately. So now none of my posts are really getting out there unless I tag people. But I probably haven't done that in probably over a year. But at the same time, I used LinkedIn to get a job. Right? That's how I started interacting with people. That's how I helped a buddy get a job. Because I told him to connect to a security director or whatever. And message them and you know, actually develop a rapport and a conversation with them. But if you don't develop those relationships, then you're going in blind. People don't know you. People don't. And if they don't know you from Adam or Eve, then why hire you? Then you really got to sell yourself during an interview. Whereas if you meet someone beforehand and talk to them beforehand, a lot of times, guess what? You have the leg up because you made the extra step. You connected them with them before. And sometimes, like, I had a conversation. I was on a YouTube or a stream or video, whatever, with Technical Cyber Solutions. So this company from the UK or from across the pond. I don't know if I think they're UK. And we discussed recruiters. Yes, there are some very, very bad recruiters out there. But there are some very, very good ones. And with that, sometimes they can get you through that HR filter. Sometimes just by presenting you. So you have two ways to do it. Either meet the right recruiter or recruiting firm, or talk directly to the security director or the hiring manager for whatever position you want to apply for. Or if you see a company that you like, just connect with them on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on whatever it may be, and start commenting on everything. Because if you do that, then they know you. So when you apply and you don't hear back, all you do is shoot them a message and be like, hey man, I applied for this like a week ago and I haven't heard back. What's going on? And they're like, oh, really? Well, let me check that out. You know what? Send me your resume. We'll get it taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, so
that's how it happens.
Yeah, so that's another way. And one of the things that I always tell people, so whenever COVID fixes itself, we'll have it where I'm from. We have a lot of meetups. We have a lot of little conventions that we'll do like on a Thursday night or something like that downtown. And what I was told by my mentor was no one ever goes to those things unless they're looking for something. So if you're going to one of those things, just know that everyone's there for a reason, whether it's to be known or share their project, share their interests. They always, you're never going there to not tell someone about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So go there, go to one of those. It's gonna feel so weird. You're not gonna know anybody, but no one there knows anybody either. So not to worry, just pick one person and just go talk to them and figure out what they're looking for. And maybe they'll point you in the right direction. Maybe they'll give you their card. Maybe, you'll get invited to another one or to something else that'll lead to another thing and another connection and then an interview and then that sort of thing. And to your point about, reaching out to whoever you applied to, that's actually a really good way of getting to know whether they received it, whether you fit what they're looking for, what their requirements are, but also getting feedback. It's always good to get feedback, and don't let your ego be bruised about it. Just because they're like, well, we're not really looking for that. Just like, okay, no problem. I'll apply. I'll keep applying. And then if they say, you know what, we really liked your resume, but it wasn't the right fit for this role. Okay, you open that conversation up and say, where do you see me in your company? Like sell yourself to the point where you know that you're really good at what you wanted, at what you're doing, and know that you really want this. And it's not you working for them. When you're working a company, it should be them working for you. They should be working to keep you there, keep you happy, keep you trained, keep you wanting to come back to work every day, not the other way around.
For sure, definitely, and you're spot on with that. And Angie, have you seen? All right, so you just recently graduated.
Yeah.
I'm sure as you were getting closer, you started looking at applying and things like that. What issues have you seen? Where you're at now, trying to get into certain roles.
I think the biggest issue is that it's not clear like what roles are, right? So I've kind of started, I mean, I do currently have a full-time job, like, but I have been looking to change my career, obviously. So I have been looking at positions, and for someone like me who doesn't have any experience, I'm finding that it's not very clear like what positions actually are. So I have been working with a mentor that I met through a networking group through school, and he's been helping me work on my resume and everything. And so like we'll find a position and it's completely different than what I actually thought that it would be. I would think like, oh, this isn't a position that I think that I have any experience or anything. And he'll look at it and be like, oh, it's like exactly fits your skills and what you're doing now. But I look at the description and I'm like, this is so beyond like what I've ever done or anything like that. And he's like, you can transfer all of your current experience with your job. It's exactly like what you're doing, But when I looked at the job description, I didn't get any of that.
So there's somebody you need to connect with. Dave, please, I know you've watched a lot of these videos, and I've had a lot of people on here, so I can't put the exact name. Who worked as a barista before they went cybersecurity? Was that Alyssa or?
I've heard
It was Alyssa.
I think it was Alyssa.
Oh, I follow her.
All right.
She's
Alyssa's
amazing.
fantastic.
You need to
So
talk to
good.
her because, and I say this because coming out of the Army, I had to do a lot of the same things, right? You have to convert tactical training and leadership and all these other things to, well, how can you word it in such a way that it matches the career that you're going for? If you talk to her and be like, look, this is what I'm doing, this is what I've done, she can definitely help you word some things if she has time, and we all know she is a busy woman.
I know.
If she has time or can give you someone to reach out to, I guarantee she will have a way to word things that your current career will match anything you want to do going forward. Whether it's memorization, whether it's analytics, it doesn't matter.
Right.
She will find a way, and the way she words it makes sense. A lot of times people will do things and it just doesn't make sense, and you're just like, well, that doesn't make any sense to me. She will do things, you'll be like, holy shit, you're right. Like, I have done that, which means I've done this, which means it works. I feel like, what is it, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever it is? Yeah, she can do that with your job. And it's crazy because she's done it. Like, she really has. And I look at things, and when it came to the military, I had to convert. And people always, like, I gotta send a resume to one of my buddies or somebody it's retiring out of the Army. I was able to take things and be like, yep, I did this and I did that and I led these people and I was able to do this. Meanwhile, I may have had nothing to do with cybersecurity, but the soft skills, the skills that I learned could convert. And that's what you have to look at, because that's what a lot of people, I'm sorry, look, everybody in cybersecurity, I love you guys, I love you all, but a lot of us suck at soft skills.
Yeah.
I've done videos on them. I have a whole playlist on soft skills. Some of us suck at them, whether it's talking to people, writing reports, grammar, whatever the case may be. We suck. Myself included. I have my own shortcomings. So, yes, if you can convert those soft skills that you have, customer service, David, or whatever the case may be. Look, I worked computer sales at the age of 16 in high school. People graduated and went to school for them. But that's because I could talk to people and I knew computers. So if you can talk to people, if you have that ability to talk to staff or clients or leadership or whatever the case may be, and you have that capability, that is something that sets you apart, right? It makes you that much better. Because when you're an introvert and you don't like talking to people in big crowds or being in front of people, if you can do that, if you can go in front of a board and be like, hey, look, this is what I think, this is why I think it, this is why it's right, this is what it's wrong, this is the pros, this is the cons, this is what it costs, here you go. I'm sorry, there's not a lot of tech people that can do that. We try, but our words get jumbled and we screw up and we have to fight to recover. If you can do that fluently, then you're set yourself apart from a lot of us, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's like, if you're an introvert, it's not to say that you have to be an extrovert to be good at talking to people.
Right.
It's just to say that when you do talk to people, talk to them with affirmation, talk to them with confidence in your own abilities. Don't stutter, and if you stutter, you can get the conversation back on track. But just focus on what you're trying to say, and you can be soft spoken and still get your point across. You just don't want to take forever, like how my mom tells me a story. She goes from here to here to here to here to here before she gets back to what she wants to tell me. but people just want to understand what you're trying to say. So convey soft spoken, whether it's with affirmation, whether it's confident, just talk, just start talking, and then it'll flow out. It'll be weird at first, obviously. Like you're gonna get really embarrassed. You're gonna start speaking really, really fast. You're gonna miss a couple things, but that all comes with practice. And it's not to say that you have to be an extrovert to be good at what you do.
Oh, for sure. And like I said, introverts is just takes time sometimes, right? Because if you are soft-spoken, people don't want to listen, right? If you struggle with stuttering, people get distracted and they don't want to pay attention. So there's certain things you have to combat within yourself, which sucks because you may be the smartest person there and can deliver the best information, but people, let's be honest, people are assholes. They really are.
It's true.
People are assholes.
It's true. Well, people are busy and they don't take their time. They're in a rush.
Exactly.
So they're just like, get out with it. But there's nothing wrong with taking your time.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with taking a couple seconds, taking a breath, and then starting over.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
And compose yourself. And that's why I do this the way I do, because I don't care what you look like. I don't care what you're drinking. I don't care how you talk. I don't care how much you talk. Because I can honestly talk for everybody here for probably a good hour because I like to ramble, especially when I drink. But I love doing this for that reason, because even those that are soft-spoken or stutter or have issues in front of people, guess what? I'm not going to judge you because I have my own issues. I know where my flaws lie, and I will gladly admit them for everybody else, because we all have flaws, we all have issues, we all have things we need to work out. And in this field, in cybersecurity, guess what? We are judged harshly by our peers. We are judged harshly by those above us. And if you are the low man on the totem pole when the shit hits the fan, you're the first to go. So, I don't give a flying fuck. And that's why I mark this as mature every time on YouTube, because I will say whatever the hell I want to say. And at the end of the day, we need to find ways to come together and really understand everybody's point of view. Angie, you just getting into this field with a full-time job already, I will guarantee you have something to bring to the table. I will guarantee you that, because you're just finishing college, which means, guess what? You know what they're teaching, so you know what the other people that are trying to get into the field are trying to get in with. And you're already on here. You've met Dave. You've met Shannon. And guess what? You're going to meet a lot more people. You're going to get known. And that's the point. Because you're doing something that others aren't. I have still, to this day, I put out on Twitter every week, send me an email. All I ask. I don't need you to know everything. Hell, all you have to do is say you're interested in cybersecurity. That is all I ask, is that it's an interest of yours. And it doesn't have to be, I want to be a hacker. You could want to do GRC. You could want to do policy, procedure, compliance, blue team, red team, purple team, green team, orange team. I don't freaking care what color you put on it. I don't care. Because you have something to bring. You have something in your head that we can all learn from. And that's what matters, is learning from each other. That's what matters to me, is that I learn from all of you. Because when I'm done here, somebody's going to message me in the next week and ask a question. And I'm going to say, talk to Dave, talk to Shannon, talk to Angie, or one of you three would have already given me the knowledge that I can answer it for them. And if I can't, I have sources, people I can send them to. And that's what I care about, is having people that I can send other people to talk to. Angie, I will be sending people your way. It's gonna happen.
I look forward to it.
My follow Fridays are literally I hit an A and tag a few people, hit a B and tag a few people, hit a C and tag a few people. I want everybody to learn from everybody. So I don't have, who do I talk to most? Who do I react? No. We're all going to get to know and love each other. That's what we're going to do.
Well, and Angie, I was going to say too, if you don't already follow her, somebody that you definitely need to get in contact with, and I'm only saying this because I'm going to be trying to get in contact with her myself, is Kirsten Renner, who is a cybersecurity recruiter. She deals a lot of this stuff. She's fantastic to go and talk to in regards to trying to get a job and everything. I've been pointed to her from a number of people. And kind of going back to the soft skills and making sure that you're able to know how to talk to people. I will be the first person to tell you that is so incredibly important. Even just what I'm doing right now, which is help desk. I'm just a lowly help desk peasant at a medical billing office. And I have people that will specifically call me because if they have an issue, they know that I'm going to talk to them and be able to sympathize with them about what they're going through and not talk down to them or belittle their, because to me it's oh, you typed your password in wrong, you're an idiot, you're a moron, what are you doing with your life? No, everybody fat fingers keys the same thing, or if their computer shuts down on them randomly or something's not working, I know how to handle it, but I need to doesn't make them feel dumb for not knowing it or dumb for having it happen to them. So, and again, to anybody watching this or anybody that's going to watch this, soft skills, networking, biggest things you guys can work on. And if you don't, Angie, and another thing too, do the follow Fridays. Now, if you follow me on, I will tag you every week just to make sure that I'm mixing you in with some of the top people in the industry, some of the low people in the industry, some people in between. We'll get you recognized. We'll get your numbers up.
All right. Well, I did follow both of you guys today as soon as I saw that we were going to be on this together. So.
I also folled you too, Angie.
Yeah, I think you guys both followed me back. So I think
yeah.
I follow everybody. I don't have restrictions. Some people are like, oh, don't follow this person, they're an asshole. I'm like, look, until I see it, I don't care. I'm gonna follow them anyways. I've seen so many tweets of oh, block this person. Why? You haven't provided a reason. I don't see a thread. Give me a reason first.
For me, you really, really got to do something to cause me to block you. I've never blocked anybody.
Me either.
I've muted someone once.
I will admit.
But that was because Joe was sending out his bot every 30 seconds on Twitter. I was like, Joe, you can't do that. Oh my God, I'm gonna mute you for 30 days. I hope your bot fixes itself.
I will admit to blocking those accounts that pay for promotion and ads, the T-Mobile people.
Yeah.
I was seeing so much nonsense from them that anytime I saw one of their tweets, I added them to a blocked list. So now I get nothing from their CEO or whoever, and then there's one other guy. I'm like, dude, I'm tired of seeing this. I have a cell phone. I don't want to see your T-Mobile ads. I'm not looking to move. Twitter, where did you get this information that I'm looking for T-Mobile phones? Because I'm not. I blocked them. The only ones I keep are tactical ads that pop up, promoted tactical, camo bags or pants or shoes. I'm like, hey, I'll wear boots. Who is it this time? All right, cool. Literally, Facebook did the same thing. They must know I'm looking at Tac 5. Cool. Here's a pistol holster and a safe and all this for $199. It's normally $400. I'm like,
one click buy.
I really want all that, but.
Hey man, I get phishing stuff all the time.
Right? No. Oh, dude, my. So, two things happened. One not recently, one recently. So, last year, when the Rona came around, I ordered two masks, one for my wife, one for me, from this one site. And I paid for it through PayPal. And I honestly didn't think I was ever going to get it. Like, I had sent messages to support, this, that, and the third. Like, I was like, I got a confirmation email. Like, what's going on? And I kid you not, it took like 4 or 5 months for me to get these masks in. And they didn't even send me my right order. They sent me 2 masks for my wife of the exact same type and 2 masks for me. And did not send the extra filters, which I found out apparently I didn't order. But I only got charged, like I got charged the same amount that I was supposed to get charged for what I wanted, but got for like 2 extra masks that I didn't order. And I was like, at least I got them. I mean, it only took halfway through the year to get them, but I got them.
A month later, man, I can't wait to wear these masks.
And then my
man, I can't wait to wear these masks.
And then my
I got this really weird envelope in the mail just 2 weeks ago, and there was no address on it at all, just my name, my address, but no, like, not from where it was from. And I'm like, this is super weird. It was like a electronic label on there, so no handwriting. I opened it up and it's 2 masks from my telco company. I'm like, oh, you're about 10 months late for these masks. And they're like, we're here to protect our workers. I'm like, oh.
Like, I've had the Rona 3 times. Where were you 6 months ago?
I'm like, I had to buy these ones at Canadian Tire. These are shit.
I was gonna say, I've been going around buying like the disposable ones because I like the metal strip that you can...
Yeah,
yeah,
those are
like, well, you're on mute, buddy.
Oh.
Damn it. All right, cool. The 2 masks I have, so I hit the button, it didn't unmute. This damn Yeti doesn't work all the time to mute and unmute. Like, I'll mute and it won't really mute, and then I'll unmute, it won't really unmute. And I'm like, hold up, let me get it right. So I have one, and all my masks have vents, which I found out some hospitals don't like that. They frown upon that. They're like, you can't have vents, so you can either take this disposable mask and put it over it, or just wear the disposable mask. And I'm like, I'm not gonna wear 2 masks, so screw it, I'll just put it on. But no, so both of them have that thing over the nose to where you can actually flex it to make it fit. The one my wife got me before our other ones that we ordered and had to wait 6 months for, is a plastic piece. Well, I think it's plastic, but it's still bendable enough that it, fits and secures. Plus, it has a strap around the neck instead of, behind the head. Nice. And the other 2 masks that came in are a metal piece. And dude, I always buy the ones with vents, but because I gotta end this soon. I never pay attention to the time, but who saw and who thinks there's going to be some issues with it, the Razer mask that is going to have a Bluetooth capability. So Razer Gaming, it was on the verge, is released or trying to develop a mask with a Bluetooth capability to tell you when you need to charge it, right? So it'll connect to your phone and give you an update of like when you're, because the way their filters work, and it has chroma RGB, and like it looks real cool, and it's something that legit. I don't like masks, and I would fucking wear it. Like, I saw this shit and was like, I will wear that every day. The Rona could go away tomorrow, and I will still wear that every day.
Is it clear? It's clear.
It's clear. So they have 2. So it's clear. It has RGB chroma, and it has a microphone built in. Part of the Bluetooth capability and charging, it has a microphone built in and a speaker that actually projects your voice.
Personalize it with a color. That's so adorable.
I would buy that shit in a heartbeat. Take my money.
I was watching the news the other day, plastic clear mask, right? But it didn't have like the filters on the outside. It was just a plastic clear mask, and the amount of moisture that was in there, I was like, that's so uncomfortable and so unappealing. I'm like it probably looks cute in the mirror in the morning because you got to see her makeup, but after wearing it all day, I don't think it's like moist everywhere.
Here's my thing with that Razer mask. What if you didn't have the volume adjusted just right, and you're like talking to your boss or whatever, and like you're just talking normally, and all of a sudden it's like on volume 10 and you're like screaming?
That would be great. I would laugh my ass off.
I'd be that fly on the wall that immediately when that happens, I'd fall off of the wall just laughing as I hit the ground.
So all right. So there's a lot of issues with that I see, though, because they are looking at how they're going to notify their users of when it needs charged and this, that, the other, so that everything functions properly. They do have another mask out that actually has some type of UV cleaning, like it has a case for it, and it seals to your face. It's an N90, and that's the other thing about both masks. They're N95, so they're supposed to be like the best, like what surgeons use and all this other stuff. So it'll be cool as shit. I don't know if and when it'll come out, but it is something that I would probably spend $200 on just because I'm that asshole that would do it just to have it. Yes, that's me. I would blow money that I don't have on something I don't need for the purpose of I would wear it every day just because I'm like, oh, I spent the money, I might as well.
Do you know how much these are going to be?
They haven't stated yet. No.
No.
I see a lot of cybersecurity concerns with that, though, also, when it comes, like I said, Bluetooth. When you have to enable Bluetooth for anything, just like your watches and everything else, when Bluetooth is on, it's a problem, and there's so much data that can be gathered from Bluetooth that people don't realize.
Here's my question, and I'm a huge techie. I love all sorts of tech. But there are just some things like why? Why do we have to have Bluetooth-enabled masks? Like, why do you have to have like a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi-enabled coffee mug? What?
Because I want it.
Why? Like, what do you need your coffee mug to yell at you when it goes under a certain temperature?
Yes, I do. I have drank cold coffee.
You have
damn
any
it!
idea
You know
how many times I have to reheat my tea? I would love that.
You throw ice cubes in it, and you have iced coffee or iced tea. You don't need to say going, "Hey, asshole, put me in a microwave and heat me up for a minute so that I'm back to 100 degrees."
Didn't they make those little hot plates? Can't you just use those?
The USB hot
Not
plates?
Wi-Fi enabled.
No, I'm old school, and they plug in the wall.
You can use your candle warmer to keep your coffee warm.
So here's the problem, though.
Or the microwave.
All right, so going back to security, as you said, who needs smart things, right? Who needs these mugs or whatever? Let's be honest, I have seen some adult-oriented smart devices out there that were hacked recently. We're not going to discuss those ones particularly, as David now falls off screen.
I'm dead. I know what you're talking about, and I'm dead.
Sure you saw it. But I seen another video too, right? And this isn't necessarily hacking. Dude had dental work and couldn't get in his house. His whole house is automated. Couldn't get in because he couldn't speak to his door to unlock the door to let him in. I saw that on Twitter earlier today. But it leads to a point. I see a lot of things where it's like, hey, those in IT or techies have all these smart devices. Those in security don't have any. I beg the question. I get the risk. I get the privacy. I understand the security concepts behind it and why those in security don't have them. Those that are really concerned about, I don't want Amazon listening to everything I do, or Google or Facebook. My comment comes down to the same argument that people that say, why do you care about getting chipped? You're followed anyways with your phone. Your phone listens to everything you freaking do anyways. If it didn't, then when you said, hey, I can't say either one because I have Google and Apple in my house. But you get the point. When you say, hey, something's going to respond, which means it's always listening. So for any company out there, if you work for Amazon, if you work for freaking Google, if you work for Apple, don't tell me the mic's not always on. It is always on, or else it wouldn't freaking hear me when I say, hey, so-and-so. It's always listening. It's always tracking you. So why do we give such a concern to the minis, to the hubs, to whatever else it may be, when your phone is doing the exact same goddamn thing?
Because they're not thinking about the fact that their phone's doing that. They think of it as, oh, it's this Amazon, whatever. And because for the most part, too, like, if you want to activate, on your Apple device, you usually have to hold down the home button. So, but with your Amazon device, all you have to do is just say the keyword and she activates. So it's like, I don't know. I think there's a little bit of.
Just to fill you in on that, I have Apple.
There's a
If you say, hey, her name, she listens and responds. You don't have to hold down a home button that no longer exists. Just
so
An Android.
the thing about phones is that they're with you 24/7, right? They're the most intimate object that you have on your persons. And they're so intimate to you that you trust them 100%. You don't think that they will ever turn on you because they've been with you throughout thick and thin. They've been there for you when you need to call a cab, when you need to call a tow truck, like they connect you to your parents, to your siblings, to your friends. Like they are a trustworthy device in your life. You'll never leave home without it. That's how people think. So when people are like, well, I don't want Google in my house, but they'll have an Android phone, it's a little hypocritical, but only because they put so much trust in their phones, in their most intimate object. And that's just the psychological issue that we have with technology these days.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have that issue. And I agree with you there. Honestly, if they still made the Nokia, I can't say that. That'd be a lie. If they did make the Nokia brick still, and I could have that phone and play Snake on it all day,
they do.
I would.
They do have that. They re-released it.
Yeah.
But the question is, does it have the same antenna that would get you service in the middle of bumfuck Egypt?
No.
And have a battery
technology now.
that lasted a month. Because these new phones, the antenna doesn't work when you go 5 feet from your house, and the battery only lasts 3 hours.
Let me ask you this too, though: is a lot of that the reason why we're so much more skeptical and afraid, I guess, of some of these home devices is because the way they're advertised. When you're advertising your phone as camera, oh, it's this, new process or whatever. But like when they go to advertise anything from like the Google Homes or whatever, they're always advertising you being able to use voice activation on them.
No, I think it's because of the news articles. You don't hear news articles about, an Amazon employee accidentally sent all the data that they heard that they pulled from your Google Home device, and they sent it to another person by accident or whatever. There's been stuff in the news about like data breaches and stuff like that, and I think it's more of that kind of stuff. At least from my perspective. But I have Google Home. That being said, I have Google Home, and me personally, I would never have smart devices to open my home. Like the Ring doorbells and stuff like that, like the Ring door locks and stuff. I would never have a device that someone could hack to open my door. Of course, saying that, you could pick a lock, and my house has actually been broken into, so I guess anyone could break into my home. But I don't want to have something that's like easier, that someone could just hack into.
That's why I live in the country. Go ahead, come to my house and see what happens. But on the note of, hey, what do we have? Hey, Google, turn my lights blue. Yes, I have it.
It's immediately the song.
My husband's going to be like, why did my lights just turn?
Right? I have it. But for me, hey, Google, turn my lights back to bright. I don't know if
I can't find any dimmable lights.
Yeah, you're a liar. She lies so much. But we'll turn them back on my phone. But yeah, no, I get your point. But for me, I think my biggest issue is for those that have reliance on something, right? We rely on our phones for everything. We rely on computers. And look, I'm the first one. I am. As much as I love computers, my wife tells me I can't do it. I would love to do it. Like, my favorite vacation is to go out to my sister's cabin out in the woods where there's no cell service and there's no internet. That is my favorite. For people that say, oh, could you live in this log cabin with no internet, but you're going to get paid $1 million a year Yes, I could.
Hands down. I'll do it every day.
I could.
If I have to.
I will drive my happy ass to the store, or I will hunt, or grow food, or both, and not care. Because as much as I rely on it, I could cut myself off if it meant I would have a better life. I cannot have a better life right now if I cut myself off from the internet and my phone.
Well, and to be honest, too, I mean, and I guess I'm speaking for myself on this. I actually almost need sometimes when I'm away from my phone, because I'm on my phone so much anyways. Like I always tell people, like, I'm at work for 8 hours. I'm staring at a screen because I work in IT, and then I come home and then I'm studying. So I'm staring at my 2 computer screens right now. And then if I'm not staring at these, I'm staring at a TV or my phone, like I'm staring at all these. And I actually last year or the year before last, I think it was back in 2018 when I went in the fall. There's a place kind of nearby to me called Hocking Hills, and it's in Ohio, and it's a place that you can go, and it is fantastic. I went in a log cabin, did the whole thing, horrible cell service, but I only ever used my phone to take pictures because of the scenery being so gorgeous. I enjoyed the fact that I wasn't on my phone. Like for me, that was like the nice breakaway. And like when I go to Florida next or like later on this year with my parents and everything, I'm not going to be on my phone for that entire week because it's like I need that little bit of a break from everything technology related. Like I need the break.
Yeah, so I'm going to say one more thing, and then we're going to close down the stream. You guys can hang around for a little bit if you want. I went to Tennessee last year, and it was the first year I ever did it. Now, mind you, I spent 13 years in the military, plus working other jobs, and my phone was always on. I never turned off notifications. I never was away from a laptop. Like, I always had one with me. There was always a way. If I had to get online, if I had to do work, if I had to do something, I was there. And a lot of times when I went out, I was still talking to troops or trying to sort things out for work. If I was in class, it never mattered. Last year was the very first year. So if 2020 gave me anything, it gave me peace of mind. Because in the end of July last year, I went on vacation with my family. And we went to Tennessee. And for the whole entire week, I disabled notifications on my phone. I disabled everything. The only time I used my phone was if I had to reach out to somebody in my family to see where they were at so we can meet up somewhere. That was it. I didn't use it for games. I didn't play a single game. And yes, I go through stints where I'm like, I'm going to install every game on my phone, and then I put like 5 of them back on there and end up getting addicted to games again. But I didn't play a game. I didn't do anything. But I know it's a problem for me because if my phone's dying and I know I'm going to relax on my couch, I'll charge it before I go sit on my couch so that while I'm watching TV, I have my phone and I can either answer a question or play a game or whatever. My mind's always in like 5 different places. So I get it. So for those of us behind screens all day, and that's a lot of us. I don't care if you're in cybersecurity or in IT or not. A lot of you, TV or a computer, you need to separate yourself from technology for a portion of your day. I don't care if it's an hour. I don't care if it's a half hour. You can start out for as little as 15 minutes. Go take a bath and don't take your phone with you for all I care. Get that 15 minutes of relaxation in. It's my piece of advice for everybody that is listening, everybody that is going to listen, everybody that when I make this a podcast and just listen to the audio, take your time away from your electronics. You need it. You need to clear your mind. You need to get your head on straight. Take it for somebody that has suffered from depression, that has suffered from frustration and anger and just everything else. The only way you're going to get a clear head is to separate yourself from that which makes you aggravated and that which makes you miserable. And for a lot of us, that's social networking, that's media, that's technology. As much as I love what I do and I love computers, I hate what I see on a regular basis. I hate the evil, I hate the nastiness, and I hate everything else. And I don't say hate lightly. So, take your time away, get your peace of mind. When you are working, if you have unlimited PTO like a lot of companies are offering, take days off every quarter. I'm not saying once a year. Notice, not once a year. Every quarter, set aside 2, 3, 4, 5 days and take that time for yourself and your family, because that is what matters most in this life.
Yep.
Your job can replace you. Your family cannot. Take
Don't
that
feel
time.
bad about it either, because that's one thing that I used to do. Is I used to feel bad about taking time off. Don't
ever feel bad. Like I said, you can be replaced. When it comes to your career, when it comes to your job and the company you're working for, your family will not and cannot replace you. I have learned that the hard way. I've been replaced. My family can't replace me, and they need me. So, with that, a small little tidbit of knowledge that you should keep in the back of your head and you should take forward with you. This has been a great talk with Angie, Shannon, and David. I love you all. Everybody listening, everybody watching, you have been amazing. I will be back next week with Security Happy Hour with some new guests, and I hope to catch you all then. In the meantime, if you want to support everything I'm doing, to include the new streaming service that I will be standing up, my goal is to have it done this year, though I don't know if that's going to be possible depending on funding from all my lovely supporters. You can take the look at the links down below for YouTube in the description. There is every possible way that you can support me, whether it is sharing the stream, subscribing to it. It doesn't matter. If you're watching this on Twitch, guess what? There's donation buttons. And there is also PayPal, Patreon, CashApp, GoFundMe, Buy Me a Coffee. Yeah, they're all there. Find me on YouTube. You'll see all the links. Or get at me on my Discord server. If you're on Twitch, when this stream is over, the link will be there. I am on Discord. I am on everywhere else. So once again, I love you all. Stay safe. Have a great weekend. And I will catch you all next time.
Buy a t-shirt.